Hello, and welcome to another episode of Train Lead Installations. I am reviewing this Berlyn Locomotive Works Galloping Goose that I just recently installed a Zimo sound decoder into. I am using a HO scale sound decoder with a little tiny speaker that is mounted underneath the bed of the Railtruck. Of course, to start the sounds, I am using my normal F8. And once it has a little bit of a time starting the engine, but once it starts up, it catches and you can hear it idle down. But there's also, when you shut it down, it doesn't like shutting down per se. But there's also what they call a false start, or a bad starter is what it's labeled. And instead of F8, you press F7 for that. You can almost hear that engine. You can almost, when you're looking at it, you could almost see that little engine trying to start up. Go ahead, close the hood on that again. So I'll go ahead and start the engine sound back up again. Now this Railtruck, the recording was recorded by, or the sound project was recorded and put together by Heinz Dappen, and he recorded it from one of these Railtrucks on the railroad. He talks about the number 6 Railtruck and shows a picture of it in his description of the sound project. I did move a couple of things around, and I reprogrammed the lights and added some scripts and so on. The original bell that he has recorded with it. And then you have the highway crossing horn. You have a short horn. Correction, you have the long horn. Not to be confused with the steer. Then you have a short horn. And then you have the classic Aruga sounding horn on there. As per the customer, we also added, you might recognize this song. In constant sorrow, I've seen trouble. Okay, so I'm going to just turn that off. So we've gotten up to F8, but I'm going to go back and review the headlights and the lights on the truck. So when pressing F0, all of the various lights come on. That includes the 2 lights on the roof. And I'm going to pan the camera around a little bit here. I'll also back up the locomotive, or the Railtruck. I set it up so it doesn't really, the lights don't change based on the direction. There is also an internal cab light. But I turn off a light. You see a little better. So turn off the lights again. And you see how the interior lights up. Is that? Also, on the back of the Railtruck, there is a little red light. And that's just on all the time. So, if you go ahead and press any of the bell or any of the horns, you see the two lower lights, the left and right lower light, alternatively flash, I should say. So it doesn't matter which horn you use. Maybe I can show this. Just like back it up. Originally, all of these lights had a little incandescent grain of wheat sized. It may even be smaller than that. Where's my child? Little tiny little grain of wheat light bulbs. I replaced those with little itty bitty LEDs. Okay. LED isn't much bigger than the original incandescent light. So all the lights were replaced with LEDs. Let's see. So other sounds that I have on there, and I can back it up a little bit. And then that. And you heard the brakes there. So we can turn off the brakes. Let's bring it up. And see, it just slows down and stops without the brake squeal when I turn the brakes squeal off. That's function S9. And then the other one, back it up a little bit. And we have F10, which is the curve squeal, and it only plays that with movement. I'm going to turn that off again. And F11 is... So you have to get it going to really hear it. As the clickety clacks from going across tracks. Man, they really need to check those brakes. Maybe put some oil on them. And then after the clickety clack, again, that only plays with movement, is a classic at the end. And then you can have the door being opened and closed. And after that, you have what's called a fixed speed for S13. And that basically locks. See, I start moving it, and it has that same idle speed. Go ahead and trim that off. And then the final is your volume controls, F15 and 16. F15, of course, increases the volume. And then F16 decreases the volume, so... And you can get it pretty loud. I had to turn it down because Almost as loud as a real thing. I'm going to turn the volume down a little bit. Well, that's the basics of it. Thanks for watching. I'm Christine McNary with Trainly Installs. And this is a Berlyn Locomotive Works Galloping Goose. Thanks for watching. Look forward to working on one of your locomotives.